I'm Brian, and this is my wife Nikki, and this is our Grow the Dream story. Before we came to ELC, I was a firefighter in Lewisville, Texas. We had started a moving company not long after being a firefighter. We were living out in a rural area out in Navarro County.
Our boys were very active into soccer, specifically, and had several people tell us, y'all need to move out of this little town. They need to be seen. They can go places. So, and he had always coached them all their lives in their sports down there. And we moved up here for soccer, thinking that our boys were going to be big soccer stars.
We had been to a few churches since we had moved up to the Carrollton area. And the morning at ELC, when I came home, everybody was still in bed. We get off shift at 7 in the morning. I was watching Joel Osteen, and I was really feeling bad, mainly Easter's not going to a service. So Joel Osteen, at the end of the service, said that if you're ever in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, to visit his friends, Pastor Keith and Sheila in Frisco. So I immediately Googled the church, and I went into the room and I woke Nikki up, and I said, we're going to church. And it was our best decision that we ever made. So we got the boys up and went, and it was the Easter production, and it was so extravagant, over the top.
We were hooked.
Yeah.
The boys loved it. Brought me to tears, brought him to tears. The boys, I think, even, being teenagers is hard to do, but we fell in love. We knew we were coming back.
When we walked in the doors, without a doubt, we were in the right place. After that service, because I haven't given in a while, because we weren't going to church. Well, with this, we immediately started giving. We were coming every Sunday that I was off work, and when I was at the fire station, I would try to make sure that I watched it online. Sitting in each service, it was like Pastor Keith was like, it's just me and him here. He's talking to me. And we would even talk about, did you hear that? He's talking to us.
There'd be some of this.
Literally, yes. We would leave the church, and it was like, okay, well, now we got to do this. Now we got to do this. Probably 2 years later, 3 years later, as we were going to the church, our son was dating this girl, and their family met with us. Our son had opened up to them
to his girlfriend.
About
to his girlfriend.
Incident that happened to him when he was 10 years old. I wanted to say it wasn't true, but I had no idea. I was built with rage, and but still a lot of disbelief. So when we went home, I talked to my son. I was like, hey, this happened. And he got extremely angry and very aggressive, and pretty much, telling me to get out, and didn't want to talk about it. And I was like, listen, if this happened, we got to know. So from then on, he kind of closed up and turned away from us. That sent me into a severe depression. My son was going through the depression. We were both on medicine. We attended another service, which was excel. That word pulled me out of the depression stage. And I quit cold turkey on all the medicine. I started telling my wife, he doesn't need to go to these therapists are not helping. The only thing that's going to help him is Jesus. That's it. With all of that, I didn't want to miss church at all. I was like, I have to get into church. I have to be there. We have to go. Being a teenager and us knowing this, he actually pulled out of church. So at some point, where do you fight? Where do you fight a teenager? Do you physically drag them? It's not going to do any good to send him up there kicking and screaming. One of the deals with both of our sons in 2016, the summer that they were going to church camp, we made it was almost a line where we were looking on how to get him back on track. The only thing we could do is take his vehicle. We've taken his phone, we've taken all the electronics. And on both of the boys, we were like, you know what, y'all are going to this church camp.
When I went to camp, the Victory Camp, we actually went as a punishment, and I didn't want anything to go with it. They told us you're going to the camp. I was kind of mad, so was he. We didn't really go at all. The whole message was talking about take the mountain, and it really got to me. Keely was saying that if you need to accept God, if that's what you need to do right now, then step on this floor. So I saw him get up and run to the floor. So I was like, I'm gonna be right after him. So I got up, I ran down there. And then ever since then, none has been the same.
Once Pastor Jeremy started preaching, he talked about how you don't have to go through anything alone. And that really got to me a lot. I walked up to Pastor Jeremy and I said, I feel like I need to tell my story now.
Around Halloween is when my parents went on a date night, and I ended up being taken advantage of by multiple guys. It's something that no little kid should ever have to go through. After that moment, I definitely changed, and I mean, who wouldn't after that? For some reason, I hid it for 5 years. It turned out to me wanting to commit suicide multiple times, just trying to put myself to sleep so I wouldn't have the nightmares I was having. My dad would always ask me, hey, come to church with us, and I'd say no, well, I don't want to go, and he really wouldn't fight it. It just kept getting harder because I felt like I was doing everything by myself and I had no one. About 3 weeks ago, one of my good friends out of nowhere texted me and says, hey, come to students tonight. I end up going, and they talk about some camp coming up, and I was dead set. I was not going to. I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. And then my parents asked me, they're like, hey, do you want to go to camp? I was dead set on not going against it, and I was not going to it. So they signed me up, and I'm just going, great, here I go, 3 days, wasted my life. The second night, Pastor Jeremy gave a message, and it was about take the mountain and how you will never be alone at all, and you will always have your family in the church with you no matter what you go through. I felt something inside of me tense up. After that, we went into worship again, and I felt like I had a hand guiding me to the front row, telling me this is where you belong. The third night, Pastor Keela was speaking, and she told us that we were never alone, that God was always with us. And she said, if you're willing to accept Christ, to come up to the front and get on your knees. And I was the first one up out of my seat, and I got up to that front. I got on my knees, and that was honestly the time that everything changed for me. And I said, God, you can have it all.
And after that, I couldn't count at least 20 other kids come up to me and tell me the same things happened to them.
They got home, got off the bus, both hugged us. Shortly after that, Colton started getting involved in church. He started doing some stuff with production and getting involved and going, and they wanted to go. They were going to students, and then he told us, that's when we found out, because we didn't know Colton gave his life to Jesus at the camp.
We plugged in more, dug deeper. I started giving more, and he said excel, so we expanded the company right off the bat at 30%. From there, the next year it was expand, and I expanded it again by approximately probably 15% that we expanded that year. 3 weeks later, I started serving. So then she was like, well, I want to serve. So then
So the
she
next
got on
rotation, I got on the team as a greeter. And I'm very shy, not one to, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, you know, and just talk to people and stuff like that. But I got on the team, and we're both on the same team. We serve the same Sundays. And I told him when we left, I was like, oh my gosh, I love doing this. It makes me feel better about myself the rest of that day. I'm just like, I like to see other people smile, and the people, you hug on them, and you know, and I'm usually not that type, but that brought that out in me.
With this year, Pastor Keith's word was grow. So we've already grown since 2012. We've grown over 50% in our company size. We've given more than we have ever given in our entire life. We have added to that giving, and our bank accounts are going up. All of our equipment's going up. All of our debts are coming down. It's not happening overnight, but it's all growing.
It brings tears to my eyes because of the stuff that has happened this last year for our family, our boys giving their lives, you know, and just I feel like it's all coming together, and we have Elevate Life to thank for that.